Okay, let's catch up now with game 8 on this rest day. So, d4 was played by Topalov. Now he has, by the way, one or two whites in a row. They had this strange colour sequence in this match. That's why Anand had like two whites in a row. But now it's Topalov's turn. So, he sticks with d4. He doesn't like vary considerably, in fact. And Anand also sticks with the Slav defence, rock solid reputation. But who's going to get the innovation in first? Well, actually, these moves all repeated. So black capturing on c4. Now this move a4, trying to discourage b5 from black. We've seen this all before. Bishop f5. This might become one of the most popular ways of handling this variation now. This immediate knight e5, not moving the e3 pawn, but in fact knight e5 stores to establish this strong pawn center and lock out this bishop, usually ending up on g6. So black now plays e6, and after f3 there's the move c5 as usual. And I have pointed out some variations actually for those interested in this, that after e4 c takes d4 is not possible. I pointed that out before. Let's quickly just review that for convenience, that the taking here pardon me, and knight f7 would be a disaster for black. Also I haven't pointed out this one though before, that after e takes there's also bishop b4, and this is more complex. It's not so clear cut what white's doing here, and I've forgotten the kind of refutation, in fact, of this. At the risk of boring you with an irrelevant side variation, so let's have a look. Bishop takes c4, d takes, now check takes. Now castles, for example, this might favour white. So anyway, I'm turning that Rivka off. Let's go back to the main game. After e4, bishop g6, bishop e3, we're going through the beaten territory. So are they just torturing all the spectators and the video annotators by following this sequence again with the queens coming off? Yawn, 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 I hear you say. Well, Anand's not too pleased, in fact, with following the exact continuation up to a certain point, because after knight fd7 the knight's coming off, one pair of knights, he does use a novelty here. I think he was playing a6 in previous games. Maybe he was getting a bit fed up with that, not having too much counterplay, just hoping not to lose. So he varies here. So he plays rook c8. Now a6 did actually, deprive white of that b5 square when black was playing a6. So Topalov makes use of that fact now with bishop b5, that he can use b5 still. And then provokes, white to give up that light squared bishop. Topalov obliges, so the king's slightly inconvenienced in the centre at the moment. But we have potentially, opposite coloured bishops if these guys came off. And we witnessed that in this game. White's not keen to tuck his king on the king side. There's no point. He might as well keep the king in the centre in this particular position. He plays king e2. Nice move. After f6, with both rooks connected, rook hd1 is played. Seemingly logical move. With immediate threats, the king has to do something about that, like say bishop f6. So Anand tucks it on e8. Is it safe enough there, you might ask? What else is white doing here? Well, he can constrain black's pawn structure. He clamps down on b6 with his next move. He plays a5. And then plays bishop e7. Looks as though this should be kind of equalish. But I think Topalov's a5 move was actually a novelty on someone else that previously played this variation. I think white's got a nagging edge here. and he plays now bishop b6. So eyeing that d8 square, depriving black of rook d8 possibility. So rook f8. And now this move rook ac1. So white's just content with this nagging edge. He's got ideas perhaps of knight a4. Maybe trying to get a rook to the 7th is always a good one. So Anand embarks now on trying to get counterplay, but perhaps not in the safest way. As well as generating counterplay, he's trying also to liberate this bishop. Of course, you know, black doesn't want to give up d5 with a move like e5, because that square is quite big to use, like knight d5 looks to be totally positionally crushing. On the other hand, this next move by Anand doesn't look too positionally pleasant either. He plays the move f5, and Topalov simply responds now with e5. And I don't really like the look of these dark squares particularly, and white's pawn on e5. It looks like an advanced wedge in the position, supporting a piece potentially on d6 if black's not careful. So Anand actually now plays bishop g5. I don't really understand the exciting prospects that the black pieces have here in trying to unravel. I mean, this move, bishop g5, okay, it's attacking rook, but is there a strategic intent behind it? And what else was black doing? Let's just rewind that. What else was black doing here? If he's got this blocked in bishop, does he want to try and connect rooks? If he does with king f7, then rook d7. So he seems to be a bit tied down here, defending this square, not able to use rook d8. And this bishop's unpleasantly, you know, behind this pawn here. So rewind back further. Was there anything else apart from f5? If we were trying to generate counterplay from black here. Actually, I want to turn on Ribka here. Actually, before we go any further, because it does seem to, you know, Anand's on the back foot in the game continuation. Well, Ribka's not mentioning much apart from f5. There's rook c4. And then f5. So I don't know. Slight nagging edge for white. Okay, so let's go back. f5, e5, bishop g5. Topalov is content now to exchange off these dark square bishops. As you will know from my previous videos, I like this idea as a way of a precursor as entry points onto that colour complex. In particular here, d6. If these bishops are exchanged off, you know, a knight can potentially first come to c5, but maybe to d6 even more painfully later. But the route to d6 is not so clear cut until this next move by Anand, which maybe was a clear blunder. He plays actually f4, and guess what white played here? If you haven't seen this game, especially, I'll give you 5 seconds starting from now. Can you see a good move for white in the light of the positional considerations we've just made? So 5 seconds starting now. Okay, knight e4. It means that knight d6 check is coming in, and bishop e4 is not fast enough because the rook takes c8. If rook takes c1, then there's knight d6 and rook c1. So this is unfortunate. The knight's crept to that sensitive square. In fact, this bishop g5 reminds me of my last horrendous loss where I played bishop g5 and there was a d6 disaster. So yeah, bishop g5. You've got to be careful with those. You weaken d6. So bishop e3. Perhaps Anand should have taken here and then maybe check, but even so, this doesn't look too brilliant. I guess here, if king f2, then black can gang up on e5 with rook f5. If rook e1, then rook c5. These pawns will be ganged up on. Unfortunately, there's a little detail here. Blue king d4, and then white at leisure can do something nasty like knight a4 or knight e4 knight a4 to b6 or to c5, knight e4 to d6 potentially, but maybe bishop e4 would snap it off. Here, say check, maybe even king c5, the king can wander up to b7 in these kind of variations, or you know, d6. So this wouldn't be good. This knight, I think, is better than this bishop in this position after king d4. So if king f2, let's just confirm that this wouldn't be that good, I believe. Do a Rybka check here. I think rook f5. Still, I don't know, Rybka gives a small advantage to white here. Not passively defending with rook e1. Even that, though, advantage. Knight e1.